Let's talk about writing across the page. And this is a question I get a lot. How do you write across the page? How do you move the paper? Do I move my hand? And with basic cursive, it's really, you have the ability to move your hand as you go across the page, and you have the ability to move the page itself. Okay? And you're really restricted by your ability to write with your hand planted on the page, how much, your range of motion, you might say. So with my hand planted on the page like this, I can make a stroke like this from here to here. And I can kind of just feel out like, all right, what is the range of motion I have in my hand right here? So I wouldn't want to be writing anywhere outside these lines that I'm drawing right now without moving my hand or moving the paper. Okay, I wouldn't want to be writing up here. It's really stretching my hand to get up there. I can't do my best work up there. And I don't want to be writing down here because now I feel cramped and stretched and compressed in this position, writing right here. Okay, so I want to stay well within this zone here, which we call the writing zone. This is your optimal area of writing that you can write without having to move your hand or the paper. Okay, so when I'm writing a word, like let's say word, for example, I just write, and the whole time I'm feeling my hand and feeling how it's being stretched or compressed and put in a position that isn't comfortable. So now as I finish this word, I'm already feeling like, all right, I don't want to go any further without making a position change. All right, so at this point, I could either pick my arm up and just move it a little bit further away from my body and put my hand back down, or I could keep my hand in the same spot and move the page to the left. Either way is not a big deal. If you're moving your hand, obviously your hand's going to keep getting further and further away from your body, and it can get to a point where you're not writing in front of your face, and it's throwing the angles off, and it's starting to hurt your writing. So if you're moving your hand, I wouldn't do that more than 1 or 2 times before you start moving the page. Okay, you don't want to get your arm and your hand way out to the right of your eyesight, of your eye line, way out to the right of your body. Now you're in this weird position, way off to the right, or if you're a left-hander, off to the left, where you're writing in a compromised position is what I would call it. So instead, what I recommend doing most of the time is just moving the page a little bit. Now you're in a position to continue on with the word. It so happens to be word. And you can finish the word properly in an uncompromised position with your hand, which is important because when you get out of that writing zone, this is my writing zone with the position I'm in right now. So I can really just fit this R and the D in there. When I get out of that zone, that's when I start to make mistakes. That's when my writing becomes not as good as it can be. And we want to avoid that. We want to do our best writing at all times. And the easy way is just to develop that habit of moving the paper. Well, first, recognizing when you're getting into that compromised position, knowing what your writing zone is, knowing what it feels like to be in your writing zone and out of it. And when you start to get out of it, to stop, find a good place to stop, and then move the page or adjust the position of your hand a little bit. All right. And it is about finding that good place to stop. Ideally, you want to stop in places where the pen can stop completely without really compromising the form. So like at the bottom of an overturn like that, or at the top of an underturn, like if you're doing an I, stopping right there and then moving the page is a great idea. If you have to stop in the middle of a turn, like maybe if you're doing an L and you just know you have to stop, you want to stop, like right where it's crossing the X height. Then you can move your page, then you can put your pen right back on that point and finish. All right, you don't want to stop. You don't want to stop right here. Now you're in a spot where you're just about to make a turn and you really can't flow into that. You're likely to make a mistake like I did just there and create a really rounded bottom of that letter. So this is something you have to trial and error, get the feel for, and make mistakes in terms of where you're choosing where to stop and start. The more you learn about the script, the more you learn about the forms, you'll naturally recognize where are the best places to stop in the script and when you are getting out of that writing zone and you need to make a position change.